Hello, welcome back to our yoga class. This is a part 2 for following our standing yoga poses class. Hopefully you did that class first and gave yourself time to strengthen and balance before now coming in to attempt some of these more advanced standing yoga poses. We're going to explore 5 of these today in this session. We're going to start with Warrior 3. For Warrior 3, I recommend 2 blocks and a wall space. So I'm actually going to be demonstrating facing you, and then on the other side, I'll be demonstrating from a side view so that you can see how things look with a Warrior 3 if you need the help and support of the wall as a prop. I'll also show you what it looks like in the free space so that you can explore that as well. So we've got a lot of options coming up. First, make sure that you've got 2 blocks just in case you need them. So starting off with Warrior 3, I'm just going to bring the blocks to the mat by taking them with my hands. So I'm actually going to come in by opening my feet to hip distance. As I inhale, I'll lift my arms up, and I exhale, hinge at the hips. And now I'm going to bring the blocks down to the highest height, feeling the stretch at my hamstrings, and then positioning the shoulders above the wrist. Now, from here, I'll lift one leg, and I'll pay attention to keep my ankle in line with my glute. So I don't want to lift my hip higher. I want to keep the hips stacked and in line, not stacked, in line with each other. Stacked would be lifting one higher. So if you have a lift, just focus on bringing the hips in line with each other and trying to keep that ankle in line with the glute. So the blocks are going to be a more supported option. If this is your first time doing this, this is going to be better for you in terms of stability and alignment. Now, to come out, you can bend your bottom knee, place your foot down, and then inhale, rise up. So this second time, I'm going to show you what it looks like without the blocks in the free space. Now, to come in, you can inhale, reach the arms up, and then as you exhale, start to fold forward. Take your hands to your hips. Lean weight into the foot that's grounded and then lift your opposite leg. Remember, if the hips stack, square them off. Now, gaze forward. You can reach your arms back, or you can bring your thumbs to your heart center, or you can practice reaching your arms forward. Now, if that feels like way too much in the free space, I recommend starting at the wall. And I recommend bringing hands to the blocks. You'll have to determine how much space you need at the wall so that you can bring your wall foot flat onto the wall, ankle in line with the hip. And remember, if one hip is lifting, trying to stack, lower it down so the hips are in line with each other, and then reach the crown of your head forward. Now we're really supported because we've got our foot pressing to the wall. Both soles of the feet are flat onto a surface, reaching the crown forward. So we're lengthening the spine, and we've got the support of the blocks as if we're bringing the floor up to us. So let's see what that looks like from a side view. Remember, it might take a minute to figure out where you need to step so that you can get your wall foot flat on the wall. Now, if your foot is way up high or way low, remember, position your ankle in line with your hip. If your hip is lifting and trying to stack, lower it so that you can keep your hips in line with each other. Position the blocks underneath your shoulders. Now press your grounded foot into the floor. Press your wall foot to the wall. Breathe, reach the crown of your head forward. Feel the hamstring of your standing leg and your hip. Strengthening here. And then release, come out. Inhale, rise up. So that's our Warrior 3 with several different options. The option to use the blocks on the mat, the option to try it without any blocks at all, and then the option to also incorporate the wall. Hopefully one of those feels accessible in your body. If you're starting off with more propping, so the wall and the blocks, then once you're ready to progress, you'll come away from the wall onto the mat in the free space with the blocks. And then from there, you'll progress to doing it in the free space with no blocks. So that's our Warrior 3. Now we're gonna move on to standing half moon. For this posture, we're gonna need just one block. So let's position a block at each end of the mat. And I'm actually gonna start with it in my hand. So to start with the block in my hand, know that the block that you have in your hand, you're gonna lower down to that side. Think about positioning the block in line with your foot. So go ahead and turn your toes towards the top of your mat. Now, hinge at the hips, lower your block down, position your hand on it. Now, lift your opposite leg that's on the other side, press to your standing leg, flex your lifted leg, and then reach your arm up. Position your block so that it's under your shoulder. Standing half moon. Breathe into it. Enjoy the shape. And then bend your grounded knee, lower your back foot to slowly come out. Great, let's try that on the other side and see how that feels. So now we're gonna move to the other end of the mat because we're gonna come into the other side. Position the block in your hand that's gonna be grounded. Point your toes now to the opposite end of the mat. When you're ready, hinge at the hips. Lower your block down. Let the block support your hand. Think about the block being in line with the same side toes. Now, when you're ready, you're gonna press to your standing foot and your hand to the block. Slowly lift the opposite leg. At the same time, start to lift the arm. Flex your lifted foot. Press to your standing foot. Reach your fingers up to the ceiling. Breathe. Bend the knee, lower the back foot, slowly coming out. Take a breath. Bring the block down. You might or might not need the block for the next one, but let's just give ourselves a moment before we continue on. We've been through 2 postures and we've got 3 more to go. Now, these postures are more advanced in our standing practice. When we're in them and we're holding for a few rounds of breath, we can feel our heart rate increase. So give yourself a moment to just lengthen your breath. Come into a standing position. Feet hip distance. Micro bend the knees, pull the belly button towards the spine. Now simply breathe. Give yourself time for a reflective pause. Pressing soles of the feet to the mat, feel the foundation, the bottom of your feet. As you feel the feet rooted down, feel the crown of the head rising up towards the ceiling. Exhale, let it go. One more full round of breath. All right, we're ready to move on. Okay, so next we're gonna come into standing split, feet facing the top of the mat. I'm gonna demonstrate this one without blocks or props. Inhale, reach my arms up, and as I exhale, I'll bring my palms together, hinge at the hips. Now I'm gonna bring my fingertips or my palms down to the mat. Now, I'll take a micro bend in my standing leg. The opposite leg is gonna fly up, both legs straighten, point the upper toes up. You might play around with walking your hands closer towards your foot and bringing your forehead closer towards your leg. Now, to come out safely and carefully, take a little bend in your bottom knee and then bring your top foot down. Inhale, take a half lift. Exhale, fold. Bring the fingertips or the palms to the mat or the blocks. Ground down through the hands. Take a little micro bend now in the opposite foot, which is going to become your standing foot. And then lift your opposite leg up, toes to the sky. Remember, you can walk your hands towards your grounded foot. And to go deeper, you can bring your head towards your knee. Coming out, bend that bottom knee. Lower the top foot down in line with the bottom foot. Inhale for a half lift. Now, we're going to do it again. Exhale, fold, connect the hands to the mat. This time, we're going to add on a different option. So inhale, lift for standing split. Now, as you exhale, straighten those arms. Lower your top foot so that you can bring your ankle in line with your hip. Square the hips and feel a nice stretch at the hamstring of your grounded leg. And then soften the bottom knee. Bring the foot down, feet are in line with each other. Let's try that on the other side. Lean weight to your standing foot. Inhale, lift the opposite leg. First we go for our standing split. And then we slowly start to lower the top leg, flex the foot, lower until you bring your ankle in line with your hip. Square the hips. Feel that nice deep stretch for the hamstring of your standing leg. Soften the bottom knee. Bring the top foot down to the mat. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up, standing position. Exhale, thumbs come down the midline. Now let's take a reflective pause here. Just taking a moment to connect with your breath. If the breath became short, just take time now to expand the breath and lengthen. Exhale, let it go. This is also a great time to grab a sip of water if you need. Couple more rounds of breath. Slow the breath, calm the nervous system. And on your next exhale, just release the hands, lower them by your sides. So we've got two more options that we're going to explore. The next one is going to be eagle legs and eagle arms. So for our eagle legs, let's start off by bringing our feet together. Now one leg is going to cross over the other. Don't worry if you can't do that. We've got some options. So let's just soften those knees. Maybe you start with taking your hands at the hips. Now just lift the heel of one leg, bend the opposite knee, lift your foot, cross your knee over the other, as if you're sitting in a chair, sit back. Now, it'll be more stable if you let your toes rest onto the mat. That's perfectly fine to do that. If you want to go deeper, you're going to tuck the toes behind the standing leg. Now, careful that your hips don't move out to the side. Keep the hips pointing forward. If you want to incorporate the arms, you'll lift the arms out to the sides. Now, if your right leg is crossed on top, your left arm will come over. So opposite. From here, you'll lift the elbows, hold the lift of the elbows, and maybe sit a little deeper. Eagle pose. Gently unwind the arms to come out, press into your standing foot, unwind the legs. Now remember, if you went for the fullest expression and it didn't feel very stable, you don't have to go that far. Let's see on the other side. Big toes together, soften the knees. Now come onto the toes, lift the heel, bend that standing knee. When you're ready, lift your foot off the mat, bend the standing knee deeper, cross the top knee over the bottom knee. Now, toes can stay down. We don't have to incorporate the arms, we can keep the arms down. We can hook the toes or leave them unhooked. So I'll demonstrate with it unhooked. Now, the leg that's on top, the opposite side arm crosses on top, the elbows bend, the hands meet, the elbows lift, breathe, and sit a little lower. Come out when you're ready. Take a few rounds of breath. Eagle legs and eagle arms, maybe shift from side to side. Maybe take some hip circles, just releasing any tension. Opposite direction. Back to hip distance. Maybe we take some shoulder circles. Inhale, lift the shoulders up to the ears. Exhale, take the shoulders back and down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, back and down. And again. Inhale, lift. Exhale, back and down. All right, we've got one more standing yoga posture to finish off this more advanced sequence. This is going to be our bird of paradise, which is going to come out of extended side angle, which we did in the previous class. So let's start with wide legs. Separate your feet. Find that point where it feels good to have the feet apart, but not to the point where you feel like your legs are going to split apart. If you feel like you might need to bring them in closer, you can do that. If you want to widen them, you can do that too. Now, all 10 toes are facing the same direction. One foot is going to swivel and the knee is going to bend. Again, if this feels like too much of a distance, you can shorten the distance between the feet. Now, the knee that's bent is going to track above the ankle. This is important. Now, we're going to open the arms, warrior two, if you remember from the previous class, and then bend the elbow, forearm to the thigh, reach the arm up, reach the arm overhead. This is our extended side angle that we did previously. Now, to practice bird of paradise, we'll first lift the top arm, bring it behind the back, and then reach your fingers for the inside of your thigh. Okay, so we're in a bind. Now we're opening the shoulder. We can gaze up. We can stay here if we want to. If we want to go for the fullest expression, we'll need to take the arm that's resting on the thigh underneath the body. Let the hands connect. Once the hands connect, back foot steps forward. Press into that foot that stepped forward and slowly start to lift the opposite foot. Now, once you're standing, then you can start to fly the leg. Now I'm going to be careful on this side because I've got a shoulder limitation. So I'm going to go ahead and come out because I want to take care of my body and I don't want to push my shoulder too far. If you're in it and it feels good, let yourself stay in it. Explore that feeling. If at any point your shoulder or your hip or any part of your body was saying, hey, this isn't for me, then maybe that side is just not ready for it today. Let's try the second side. All right, first, rotate all 10 toes facing the same direction back to that wide-legged stance. Now, coming into the other side, we're gonna rotate the toes of the opposite foot. So the toes rotate to the other end of the mat, the knee bends. As the knee bends, remember, we're starting off keeping the knee tracking above the ankle. We move into warrior two and then extended side angle. Just pause here. Feel that long line of energy from the foot to the fingertips. When you're ready, lift the arm, bring it behind your back. Careful with your shoulder. See if you can reach for your inner thigh. And then, if you're ready and you want to, you can practice the bind. You'll need to lift your forearm off the thigh, reach it under the body, connect the hands. Now, if your hands connect, then you can go further. Use your energy to step your back foot forward. Press into that foot, slowly pressing, lifting up. And once you get to a standing position, then you're going to fly the opposite leg, point the toes. Slowly and carefully come out, reversing how you came in, unwinding, coming out of the bind, back to warrior two, straighten the leg, all 10 toes forward, heel toe the feet towards each other, bring the feet back to the top of the mat. Soften the knees, relax the arms. Notice your heart. Notice if your heart rate has increased. Some of these postures feel like we've just done cardio. So give yourself time between each pose. Lengthen the breath. Let the body reset. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Let the palms connect. Exhale, bring the thumbs to the heart center. As you bring the thumbs to the heart center, take a moment of gratitude to your body for allowing you to try these more advanced standing yoga poses. Know that you can come back to this class anytime that you want to try them. Namaste.